Mercury in Aries, and you can find out where your Mercury is by going to my birth chart calculator, entering your details. I'm putting a link for it here on this video, and you don't need to know your time of birth. It's okay. You'll still find out what the right sign of your Mercury is, and go to the planetary detail table. When you see Sun, Ascendant, Moon, Venus, all the planets are there, find where Mercury is and see what sign Mercury is in. It's going to be opposite it, you know. It will say Mercury and opposite the sign. And if it happens to be in Aries, this video is for you. So, what is Mercury, first of all? It's a planet that is very few people are interested in, because it's not about love and it's not about such important things. But actually Mercury is probably the most important, one of the second most important planets according to ancient astrology. It was determining your character a lot, together with the moon, with the sign of your moon, because Mercury shows your way of communicating, and that's how others get to know us. How do we speak to others? How do we express our ideas? How do we communicate? How do we write? How do we learn? You know, so that's what others see about us. You might have a very strong magnetism, but you know, if your Mercury is bad, you might have difficulty in expressing yourself and others understanding who you really are. And what is Mercury in Aries? How do they act? How do they communicate? Well, Aries is the fastest sign. Is the sign of speed. So imagine how those people talk. They'll often talk faster than normal. Unless, of course, there is an aspect from Saturn to Mercury which can slow them down a bit, or some other more, slowing down planet. But generally, Mercury and Aries are fast communicators. And their mind can rush ahead before they might be talking about something and they might skip to something else because they thought they've said it already, because their mind is already ahead, and their mouth cannot catch up with their mind so quickly. And sometimes they just can say things before they have thought them out deeply and fully, and they can shock others, or they can unsettle others somehow. They can be a bit brash in their communications, and they can be even sometimes aggressive. Unless Venus is there with Mercury in Aries, which can smooth out, make them more diplomatic, or Jupiter, you know, some of those gentler planets, it will make them much more smoother in their talking. But otherwise, they'll get to the point. If you want someone to tell you the truth, and to be honest with you, ask a Mercury in Aries person. They would not fool around. They'll just tell you to the point what they think. And how do they take decisions? Mercury in Aries people take decisions very fast, because Mercury is this planet that rationalizes. You know, it looks at the facts and decides what action to take. And Mercury in Aries can take very quickly. For others, when look at Mercury in Aries person, might think this person is not is being reckless, is taking decisions so quickly without researching it too deeply. And that's some of the problems of Mercury in Aries. They can take a decision so fast, almost intuitively, and they can regret after that because they didn't check the details, the fine print, and they can feel very bored with details. For example, my husband does not allow me, I have Mercury in Aries, he does not allow me to do any of the bills at home, because a few times I've done them, and every time I mess something up because I didn't read the small print, I put the wrong number. You know, for us, Mercury in Aries people, details are a bore. We want to get to the point. We want to bring out that information quickly, or get those practical tasks, as Mercury shows how we deal with practical tasks. Aries is not interested so much in those practical tasks. You know, it wants to get to the point, to get something done and move away quickly. So they might not be so good at managing things, the details. Many people complain that my website has a lot of spelling mistakes, or words that are written wrongly, and that's me. I would get physically tense and uncomfortable checking for spelling mistakes, or rereading something I wrote a few times, or having to edit things. Oh my God! Or if I have to write a long report. I remember even from school when they would give us in literature to write something long, prosaic, some long description of a book or whatever, my God, I would get physically so under stress, because Aries is a fast sign. It wants to do short announcements, to the point, more concise, more technical, rather than some lyrical, long drawn, poetic, such kind of it's not we can do it, but it's not something that we enjoy so much, And if you have a child with Mercury in Aries, they can be a little bit disruptive in class. If they're not interesting, if the material is boring, if it's presented in a very dry way, because Aries is an excitable sign. It needs stimulation, and in order for them to learn, which is Mercury, they need stimulation, maybe even some kind of school where there is a lot of physical activity, or where they explain things more visually, with pictures probably, because Aries rules the vision, and Mercury is how you learn things. Sometimes more visual, can be more stimulating, more excitable. Make it like a game, like a competition. They'll learn faster. Give them a goal for something, they'll learn faster, rather than just for the sake of learning. Or if they are very excited about something, because Aries is the sign of passion, and if they have passion for something, they'll learn it. But they will not necessarily remember it for long, because Aries is not a sign that retains memories long. And often when I look back at some of my old videos, I say, wow, I knew that, I've forgotten it. I have to go back over my old videos to remember some of the things I used to learn then about astrology, that I've observed from my work with clients, and I've forgotten it now. I probably haven't seen so many cases about something, and I'll forget what research I've done and what conclusions I reached before. So they do not retain information so quickly, but this is not what Mercury and Aries people in this life here to do. They're here to bring new ideas, because Aries is this sign that is very innovative, that likes new, fresh ideas, and they like to move from one information to another very fast. And they get bored to get stuck in the same thing for too long. They can be very good at strategic planning, but not very good at sticking to it, not very good at implementing it necessarily. So if they work in an office, they better be in some kind of a job which is more stimulating for their mind, where they can bring a lot of new ideas, a lot of, when they brainstorm, they can throw a few ideas around, but someone else has to take it and do it step by step, detailed, and often they can start a lot of new projects, because, Aries is excited about new ideas, and they can drop the old ones and not finish them. They might have to come back later after that when they get excited about it, but usually they can move on very quickly, and Mercury shows how we learn skills. So, for example, when I was little, I wanted to play the violin, and my parents knew me very well. They knew that I move away from interest very quickly. I'm impatient in that. So when they bought me the violin, I wanted it for 2 years. I wanted. They got me the violin, and when I had to put all the practice, in 2 months I was over it. So you need to be when you have Mercury in Aries, very passionate about something in order to stick with it. Otherwise, you so quickly lose interest. And as I said, their communication is quite concise, quite fast, quite sharp. But they can be very good at explaining things to others, because Aries is the sign of simplicity. When they learn something, they can explain it in very simple terms to others, almost like as if you're explaining to a child, and they can repeat themselves a lot. Oftentimes in my videos, I say one thing over and over and over again. Not because I think you're stupid, but because Aries is a very repetitive sign. It needs to drum down a point, and that's why they're good at slogans, at making slogans, for example, or catchphrases, and repeating those catchphrases and those slogans. They're good for sharp one-liners or punchlines as well. Their sense of humor can be very sharp at that, just to say one thing very cuttingly, very funny at the moment, and then move on to something else. For example, Queen Elizabeth II has Mercury in Aries, and she's known that she would always say fast jokes, very sharp, maybe not not the, she can be even cutting sometimes, but she's known for those sharp comebacks. Charlie Chaplin has Mercury in Aries. Mercury shows your sense of humor. And look how his movies were. The Aries is a very physical sign. And it symbolizes the physical body movement. So his jokes were about slipping on bananas, fast movement. Everything was on fast movement. Everything was about physically doing something, running around in circles or whatever. That's very representative of Mercury in Aries. Physical, more visual, sense of humor. Or even when I'm making a joke, I need to include my whole body. I need to move to explain it as well, to make the joke mean. It might be slapstick type of humor as well. Okay, let's see. They learn very fast, again, almost intuitively, but they forget very fast. They can be argumentative, because Aries is the sign of arguments. And they can, especially if there is an aspect from Mercury, from Mars to Mercury, they might be even a bit vulgar in their words, like sexual jokes, or a little bit more sharp with their words that hurt. But they're very good for fighting with their words. They don't have to lift a finger, but they can do it with their words when they fight. But they can be also very defensive about their opinions. Even if tomorrow they change their opinion about something, if you confront them, they will try to defend it. They'll try to fight with you about their opinion, because this is the nature of Aries. That's why a lot of them can become very good for fighting for the rights of someone else, or for their own rights. So sometimes I've seen good litigators, people fighting in courts, with their words. And their communications are very impactful. When they're excited about something, they can excite everyone else. It's almost infectious. When they're talking about a subject they love, or a product that they want to sell, but they need to like it themselves. If they don't like it, they won't have the passion in presenting it. But if they're excited about something, they can be great salespeople, or great presenters of their ideas. Like Hitler had Mercury in Aries, and it's not like he's the great example to give, but he could move crowds with his words. They were so impactful. If you've seen him talk, wow! It's not like I'm saying he's amazing, but the impact that Mercury in Aries can have on others with their spoken word can be tremendous. But you have to watch them. You have to see all their movements, not only the intonation of the voice that can go up and down and get so passionate, the movement of the hands, the whole body shaking when they're excited about something can have a mesmerizing effect, and drawing followers after them with those skills, with those communication, powerful, impactful communication skills. But again, as I said, they're good for nowadays. Maybe Mercury in Aries people can feel very drawn to social media, Twitter, Snapchat, because they're short messages and they can put concise information, and then it goes away, after that quickly, because that's what Aries is. And I am addicted to Facebook. Quick feedbacks from everyone, that I know, and one-liners, short videos for 2 seconds. This is the kind of information I like to, very quickly take in and move away after that. So that's very Aries, Mercury in Aries. And guess what? Who else has Mercury in Aries? Mark Zuckerberg, the one who did Facebook. So he great representative, short, snap pieces of information that you can gather, and you can post yourself about others and about yourself. That's Mercury in Aries again. Fast, quick. And they're not the easiest to communicate them always, because they'll talk at you often. When they have something to say, they'll not listen to you so much. They'll like to say what they have to say. And they can get very impatient with others if they're taking a long time to get to the point. So not the most diplomatic always. Unless they have planets in Libra that balance a bit, of Venus is there to balance. And for example, if you have a reading with me, Mercury in Aries, the reading, I'll be firing at you. I'll be sharing you with information fast. And very rarely I would listen to you. Wow, if you go to an astrologer who has Mercury in Libra, the opposite sign, half of the reading will be you talking, them getting feedback. It will be like more a communication going both ways. While with Mercury in Aries, the communication comes from them. We're the ones that want to. Aries is this very impatient, impulsive, extrovert sign that wants to bring out its information. And sorry, I hope you can hear me. Okay, what else? We rush over details. I said that we're not good at details very much unless we're under crisis. When we're under crisis, we can be very good managers, crisis managers, because under pressure with little time, Mercury in Aries organizes itself like a soldier. But if things are not under pressure, if there is no crisis, we are not the best at those organizational skills. And you can hear how my communication is always, there is no structure much. It's a little bit whatever thought comes into my mind, I jump from one to another, then I come back, then I jump again, to the next one. There isn't much structure. It can drive some of you who are more methodical, more consistent, crazy, but that's my Mercury, and at least I repeat myself many times, so I drum down a point with you. Okay. Let's see if we haven't missed anything. They're they can be very naive and childlike in their communications as well. Very simple, not stupid. They're not stupid at all. Actually, they're very ingenious. They're full of new ideas. Innovators of great innovators have Mercury in Aries. Like I gave you Mark Zuckerberg, for example, or because Aries is the sign of the head of new ideas, and Mercury is the sign of the mind. So imagine their mind is working constantly. It might be hard for Mercury in Aries to calm their mind down because it's constantly working so fast, like a little torpedo. And they're constantly getting new ideas, and hopefully they have some other signs that are more stable that can help them implement those ideas as well. But let's see, Leonardo Da Vinci has Mercury in Aries. He was not only a painter, he was an inventor, he was dabbling in everything, not only dabbling, but bringing brilliant ideas 500 years ahead of their time. Innovations of sorts, with Mercury in Aries. So they often would have many interests in different places as well. And because they lose interest in one, they need to have something else to do after that, and something else, and then come back to the other thing. Einstein had Mercury in Aries. So very innovative thinking, very different. But he also had Saturn there. So, Saturn makes the mind much deeper. And he was not a typical Mars in Aries person, even though very brilliant new ideas he had. But because Saturn was there, he could develop them more in depth. Mercury in Aries people, just a second. They love to take new projects and with a lot of enthusiasm, as I said. But because they have so many ideas, they can quickly move on to another project after that. And they change their opinions often for something fresher, for more exciting things. And promoting new ideas, as I said, often salespeople, promoters of Mercury to excite others about their ideas. That's what they're very good at. Competitive games they can enjoy, because Mercury shows the games we like, the rules. And in Aries, they're more competitive. And I'm quite competitive, even though I don't want to confess it, but it can be painful sometimes, What can stimulate me to be more productive at work is when I see that someone is doing better than me, that someone has more astrology views than others, so it spurs me into, okay, I have to make more videos, I have to produce more information, and it aggravates me that I'm like that, but I guess that's how God meant it, And so this is what I can tell about Mercury in Aries. Usually the new ideas that they're full of will manifest depending what house Mercury is in. For example, if Mercury is in the second house, the person will have a lot of new ideas all the time about money, how to generate finances. If it's in the third house, a lot of new ideas about information, how to give it to others, how to receive new information, new skills. I have it in the third house. If it's in the seventh house, it might be a lot of new ideas about business, and because seventh house is exchange with others. If it's in the 10th house, their career. So it can be different for each person, where this kind of inventiveness and originality in thought comes through. So this is what I can tell you about Mercury in Aries. You could feel probably for me the Mercury in Aries energy, jumping around fast, rushing ahead, not much organized, but excitable, and full of intonation and gestures as well. And of course, nothing is 100%. If you have other aspects from planets, or if you have quite a few planets in Taurus, you'll be much slower in your communications overall. Things can be, they're not always black or white, but this is the general influence of Mercury in Aries. Thank you very much.